Good morning, or I should say good afternoon. It is officially 12 o'clock in Gainesville, Florida, and today is day 5 of the 5 Habits Challenge. It's the last day of the challenge. I'm so sad that we're not doing this anymore. Last day is today, 5 Habit Challenge. My name is Michael Espinosa, head coach and founder of the Arc Fitness, your healthy living architect. And I'm going to go over with you today on the Facebook Live, talk to you about healthy fats. So today's habit is eat 1 to 2 thumbs of fat, level 1, at one meal, level 2, at all meals, level 3, at all meals with 1 to 2 cupped handfuls of whole food starchy carbs, 1 to 2 fists of veggies, 1 to 2 palms of protein, and enjoy them slowly. Eat all of that slowly. So there you have it, all 5 habits. So let me explain quickly what a thumb-sized portion is. A thumb-sized portion of fat is the size of your thumb. That's it, just a little bit of fat. Fat is very nutrient dense, so we just need a little bit of it. I know there are some of you who are struggling with this and who are running up against other challenges like time management. Maybe you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed, and I want to let you know, don't worry. We're going to cover all of this information and much, much more in the full program once the challenge is over. And I'm going to launch the full program in just a couple of weeks. I'll be sending out more information via email so you can sign up. So there is light at the end of the tunnel. Yeah, so we're going to talk about healthy fats just in a second, Anthony, and I'm going to get to that right away. But a little bit of housekeeping first, real quick. What it's going to take for you to win, and we're at the end of the challenge. So if you haven't been following along or you haven't been able to post in the daily graphic, you can go retroactively. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of time to get that work in, your homework, so that you can be entered to win, because we're going to be randomly choosing a couple of people to send them some cool stuff. So 3 things you need to do to win for every day of the challenge: complete the action guide that's sent to your email. Number 2, you're going to post in each day's daily graphic. Today, I want you to let me know, what healthy fats do you love? If you even know what a healthy fat is, we'll go over that in a second. What processed fatty foods do you love? And what healthy fats would you be willing to eat more of to have less of the processed fats in your diet? And then last of all, number 3 is join me on Facebook Live for the training. You're here, so mark it off as done in the units in the Facebook group. So everything is organized in the units. Now in the units in the Facebook group, you have all 5 habits, Unit 1, Unit 2, Unit 3, Unit 4, Unit 5, all there organized for you, so you can go through the list, watch the Facebook Live trainings, and get some information. Go to the file section and get that hand portioning guide, the scorecard, so you can keep track. As you can see, I have been keeping track of my meals. This has been really fun for me, and honestly, for me, kind of like a way of letting go, because I'm coming from a background of like intense scrutiny and counting, and so this has been very helpful for me, and I'm hoping that your meal plan is also helpful for you. And I have my scorecard here, and you can see I have everything checked out because I'm running the challenge. Like, why wouldn't I do everything? I've been doing everything anyways. So those are the 3 things you need to do to win. Complete the action guide, post in each day's daily graphic, and then watch the Facebook Live. And all of this is organized in the units. Again, if you have any questions, I'm 100% available. I think I've gotten to every single comment or question in the group. You're also welcome to post to the group. So if you have something you want to post, like a photo, celebrate, you're more than welcome to. I encourage you to. So let's talk about fats. We'll get a little sciencey, and then we'll break it down into how we can practically apply this in our everyday lives. So there's 3 types of fats. You have your saturated fats, which are animal fats, and tropical oils, things like coconut oil, palm oil, cacao. You have your mono unsaturated fats. Those are things like olive oil, avocados, peanuts, ground nuts, tree nuts. And then you have your polyunsaturated fats. Those are split up into two groups, or maybe even a third group, I think, called omega-9s. We're not going to get into omega-9s today. We're just going to talk about omega-3s. Omega-3s are things like flax oil and fish oil. And then omega-6 is also algae oil. For those vegans out there that are trying to get the DHA and EPA, the algae oil is the way to go, since you won't be intaking fish oil. And then we have the omega-6s, which are most seed oils, things like sunflower oil, safflower, and things like that. Things that are shelf stable. So, what is a healthy fat? So in popular terminology, usually when people refer to healthy fats, they're talking about monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fats. Yet, since the dawn of time for human beings, people have been eating saturated fats with no issues in the forms of blubber, organs, and brains. So a better definition of a healthy fat, to answer your question, Anthony, is a relatively unprocessed fat from whole foods. And we're going to talk about specific examples if that's not clearing things up for you. What we consider unhealthy fats are typically those fats that are industrially produced and designed to be non-perishable. Things like trans fatty acids that appear in processed foods. So if you're looking at a processed foods and you see soybean oil, run. Hydrogenated fats such as margarine, where hydrogen is added to make it something that's a liquid into a solid, and then give it make it shelf stable. And then most shelf stable cooking oils, like I was saying before, safflower, soybean, corn oil, etc. So since humans evolved by consuming a diet of whole food, the fat intake from mono, poly, and saturated fats was distributed evenly. And we're talking about our evolutionary history. So scientists estimate that the omega-6 to omega-3 ratio in hunter-gatherers was somewhere to 1:1. Humans currently consume a ratio of about 16:1 or even 20:1 omega-6s to omega-3s. So the fat intake is way out of balance. And most of our omega-6 and saturated fat intake comes from refined fatty sources, and it's also usually mixed in with with sugar or something like that. So items like corn oil, safflower, factory farm meats, eggs, and dairy, they contain this unhealthy balance of fat. And one statistic that I saw was that, which was like really scary, but not surprising, is that soybean oil alone accounts for over 75% of the oil consumed by Americans. I think that's pretty gross. So no offense if you're one of those people. We're here to get better though. I'm proud of you. So why are fats important? Well, fats exert a powerful influence on the body. And I'm going to tell you exactly why. We need adequate fat to support metabolism, cell signaling, the health of various body tissues, immunity, hormone production, and the absorption of nutrients like vitamin A and vitamin D. Having enough fat will keep you full between meals, and healthy fats have been shown to have the following benefits. There's strong evidence for cardiovascular protection, though there's less evidence for protection against heart failure here. Improved body composition, and healthy fats will help alleviate depression. There's average evidence that a diet consisting of whole food fats with a nice balance will help to prevent cancer, preserve memory, eye health, reduce incidence of aggressive behavior, ADHD, and ADD. And here's why. Because you are literally a fathead. It's true, you're a fathead. I'm a fathead. The fat we consume is digested and either used for energy, stored in your fatty tissue, or it's incorporated into other body tissues and organs. Many of our body tissues are fat-based, including our brains, and there's a fatty sheath that insulates your nervous system. And so it makes sense that we would run into attention problems, for instance, if we are having an unbalanced intake. And that's because the fat we consume literally becomes a part of your cells. So why would a diet consisting of predominantly trans fats and saturated fats, how would that negatively affect the body? And I'm going to tell you why. When you look at and this is clear when you even look at the fat itself. When you look at margarine, when you look at Cisco cooking grease, right? When you look at these saturated fats, they're tightly packed. They're you think about the way margarine is. Now think about the way like fish oil is, how it's soft, how it's permeable, how at cold temperatures it still doesn't solidify. Well, what happens is when you ingest those fats, whatever fats you're ingesting, they become part of your cells. They become a part of that phospholipid layer around your cells, around every cell in your body. So imagine now that you have a diet consisting of 75% sunflower soybean oil, and now this fat has become part of your body, and what it does is it renders the cell walls less permeable. And that's a problem because we need an interaction between the outside environment and the inside of the cell. We need to transport and export nutrients. There's signaling that happens there. So when I have a diet that's out of balance, that has a super high intake of omega-6s, a super high intake of saturated fat, a super high intake of trans fats, I'm slowing down my body's ability to actually metabolize, slowing my metabolism, because that's exactly what metabolism is. It's all of the functions of your body happening. So fat can affect signaling molecules that influence blood vessel constriction, inflammation, blood clotting, pain, airway constriction, and since our brains are fat-based, changes in fat composition can affect the transmission of nervous system impulses. So it's really important that we emphasize whole food fat sources in our diets and supplement as necessary. So how can you get more fat, more healthy fat in your diet? Well, for me, this is the easiest habit, at least getting the healthy fats in. I really think with my experience, one of the things that I've noticed in my own life is I tend to have high saturated fat consumption and a high fat consumption in general, because it's just so easy to take in that calorie dense food. All you need is a little bit, right? Hence just the 1 to 2 thumbs of fat. So Anthony, I'm gonna get to your question. Anthony asked, soybean oil bad, olive oil good, better, corn oil bad? I don't really like to label things as good or bad, but I would highly recommend that you eat less soybean oil and corn oil and eat more olive oil, for sure. In terms of, usually we use soybean oil and corn oil for cooking. So I recommend maybe switching for cooking, maybe switching to something like a expeller pressed grapeseed oil. And that's important. The process of which they express the oil is really important. So expeller pressed canola oil will be okay in moderation. Is it grapeseed oil, I believe? Again, in moderation. But remember, you just need a thumb of fat. So if you're deep frying your food in let's say a healthier fat, then you might be out of balance there because you're over consuming on the fat. And butter is delicious. Matthew, I love butter, and I eat butter every day. And I eat butter which is a saturated fat, along with sources of monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fats. So ideas for getting more fat. Stock up on fat sources in your kitchen. It is really as simple as checking it off putting it on your shopping list, or going to the shopping list to have in the files section. making a list of the fats that you want, that you know you'll eat, and putting that on your list and buying it. And I'll give you an example of what I do. When I'm constructing my meal, I am constantly thinking about the 5 habits, because your boy does not stay in top shape by forgetting all of these things that I'm teaching you. Every day I'm thinking of, for breakfast, I'm thinking, where's my protein? Where are my veggies? Where are my starchy carbs? Where are my healthy fats? So when I get to my healthy fats, it's real easy. I go and I grab some walnuts, a couple thumbs of walnuts for myself. I put it over my over my salad, over my veggies, or along with my carb source, which is some homemade whole wheat bread, I will slather a couple thumbs of peanut butter. And the ingredients here are dry roasted blanched organic peanuts and salt. There's no hydrogenated oils in my peanut butter. The oil is separating here. So check the ingredients, because they will slip those hydrogenated oils in there. And then the other thing is I'll eat fish, or I'll supplement with some fish oil, because since I'm not a hunter-gatherer and I'm not eating fish every day necessarily, because the ratio of omega-6 is so high, I'm trying to supplement a little bit with omega-3s. So go to your list, your shopping list, and get some foods that are in those categories. Saturated fat, if you're eating animal products, saturated fat is not going to be an issue. You're getting that already. If you're eating chicken, if you're eating eggs, if you're eating butter, right? Butter's a great source of saturated fat. I highly recommend getting some grass-fed or something that's not industrially produced. If you can get it locally, even better. So just get a nice mix of fats in your pantry. A little bit of olive oil. If you want to drizzle some olive oil over your salad, there's your thumb of fat. As a general rule of thumb, pun intended, I did that on purpose. You're gonna get a thumb of fat is about a tablespoon, give or take. So Arlene, a good source of omegas for vegetarians, I mentioned earlier, is gonna be algae oil, which is expensive. But definitely worth it. Another good source is going to be flax oil. The thing with flax oil is it doesn't have the EPA and the DHA, which is a longer chain, branch chain omega-3. So I highly recommend getting on like an algae oil supplement. And I believe spirulina also has those fatty acids, because it is a blue-green algae. It's a wonderful food supplement for vegetarians. And I throw that spirulina in my super shake and I make it super green, and it's delicious. So stock up on fat sources. Super easy. Just put it on the list, buy it, and put it in a conspicuous place so that when you're constructing your meals, it's easy to grab some walnuts. It's easy to throw some peanut butter on your watermelon, like I did on Monday. That's delish. Highly recommended. Or drizzle a little bit of olive oil over your salad, for instance. Or make yourself a salad dressing homemade with some olive oil, balsamic, maybe a little mustard, maybe a little chopped garlic, and that kind of thing. So tip number 2 for getting more healthy fats in your diet is going to be to get a mix of fat types from whole, unprocessed, high-quality foods. So again, putting nuts, seeds, things like hemp, flax, and chia are especially nutritious. Fish, seaweed, pasture-raised and grass-fed animal eggs, olives, avocado, coconut, and cacao nibs. Just putting foods on your list, whole food on your list, that is a great source of these fats. So in the file section of the Facebook group, The Arc Fitness, I've also dropped in a super shake guide. And this is another really easy way to get healthy fats in your diet. Like I mentioned before, Arlene was asking about omega-3s for vegetarians. Highly recommend spirulina in the shake. But in that file section, check out that super shake guide, which, to be totally honest, I dropped the wrong file in there, but I'm happy I did, because this one actually has recipes, but it's from a website called Scrawny to Brawny. So it's like the PDF is geared more towards men, but women definitely benefit from this, especially if you're super busy and on the go and are having issues, getting your protein in, just getting your meals in. So that super shake has built into it 4 habits, the 4 eating habits, which is protein in the form of some protein powder, or maybe even some whole food like eggs. What else we got there? Some carbs like some banana, some liquid, some veggies which you can throw in there, and then of course some like peanut butter, walnuts, some healthy fat. So Brooke Williams Buffington is asking, is flax a good omega-3 source? So I mentioned this to Arlene earlier, and flax is a good omega-3 source. The thing with flax is that it does not have the DHA EPA that you find in fish oil. So in order to get those DHAs and EPAs as a vegetarian who does not eat fish or fish oil, you'll be looking towards algae oil to get those EPA and DHA, which I forget the scientific name, super long, but those are really, really important for brain health, as we talked earlier, and among other things. So definitely look to that algae oil to get the DHA EPA and start to widen where you're getting your vegetarian omega-3s from. But flax is definitely a good source. I believe the fatty acid in there, the omega-3 that's in there, is the CLA, I believe. That stuff's not important though. What's important is that you have a varied and balanced mix of fat in your diet. A little bit of fat from saturated fat, whole food sources, a little bit of fat from monounsaturated whole food sources, and polyunsaturated whole food sources. And those whole food sources are going to be a mix, but there's some that have a little bit more than others. So some of you are going to take this. That's it. The challenge is over. The secrets are out. The 5 habits are out. Eat slowly. 1 to 2 pounds of protein per meal. 1 to 2 fists of veggies per meal. 1 to 2 cupped handfuls of starchy carbs per meal, and 1 to 2 thumbs of fat per meal. Eat slowly. Number 1 habit of all time if all else falls apart, or if any of that other stuff falls apart. You have in the file section your meal plan, so you can print this out, cut this out, copy it however you want to do it, and just check off the list to make sure you're getting what you need to perform optimally and live the healthiest life possible. That being said, a lot of you are still struggling and you're running up against other challenges. And maybe even with these 5 habits, you may even be feeling a little bit overwhelmed. So don't worry, we're gonna go over all of this in the full program once this challenge is over. And I'll be sending some emails to you. We're gonna be launching the full program in just a few weeks, and I'll send you an email with more information so you can sign up. So what's after this challenge? Well, after this challenge is level 4. You keep going. And what is level 4? Level 4 is trying to hit the 5 habits every single meal. Or at the very least, trying to hit the 5 habits at 1 meal. Start bringing the 5 habits to your attention. Bring it to the front of your mind. Put this list or this action guide on your fridge and go down the checklist and see what you need. And that's it. And like I said, if this is something you're struggling with, we're going to go over all this information and much more in the full program in just a couple of weeks. So I want to continue this discussion in the Facebook group. What fats will you stock up on? What ideas are working well for you? And what's not working well for you? What obstacles are you running up against when you're trying to get healthy fats in, or if you're trying to keep your saturated fat intake low and increase the intake of mono and polyunsaturated fats? So let me know. Let's continue the discussion in the Facebook group. Finally, I do want to tell you that we will be sending prizes out to some randomly selected folks who have completed the challenge. And if you're behind, go back, finish. Everything is organized in the units and it's super clear what you need to do in order to be entered to win. And I don't know, I'm thinking maybe on Monday, we'll be looking to see who has done everything, and we'll be picking a couple of folks to send them something really, really cool, depending on your interest, because I've been getting to know you all, and I'm really excited to surprise you with something valuable and worthwhile, and something you'll be able to use to live a healthier life, because you've shown that it is a priority for you just by participating, and at whatever level you've been participating, even if it's level 1, There's really nothing wrong with that, because I know that you guys are striving to live 1% better every single day. So I want to thank you all. I'm signing off. I'm not going to talk anymore. My name is Michael Espinosa, founder and head coach at the Art School of Fitness. And I want to remind you once again, the most important motto of all time: do not strive for perfection. Do not go from 0 to 100. The key is, major key, strive for 1% better every day. I hope you really do that and follow that and live by that, just as I do. All right, y'all. I'll see y'all later in the group. Thank you all for participating, and see you in the full program.